Last night in our Spokane meditation class, we've been, for the last, I think, 2 years now, we've been going chapter by chapter through the book, An Open-Hearted Life, by Venerable Thupten Chodron and Dr. Russell Kultz. And it's an exposition or an exploration of how to develop compassion in daily life, an open-hearted life. From the Buddhist perspective, which Venerable Chodron brings, obviously, and also from the Western psychology perspective, which Russell Kultz brings. And his specialty is compassion-focused therapy. So it's a methodology. It's new, but it's a methodology of Western psychology that is bringing compassion and awareness, compassion, and the meaning and value of compassion in daily life as a healing tool. So this combination is brilliant. And I must say that after teaching this book, chapter by chapter by chapter, over the last, it's been 2 years, I think. All of us who have had the opportunity to do it have been so enriched by going really into what they're saying and then sharing this with this community in Spokane, who is also completely engaged and shares so openly. And so it's very, very inspiring to see how the Dharma, along with Russell Kultz's work, is affecting people's lives in such a positive way. Some of them are Buddhists, some of them are never going to be Buddhists, but all of them appreciate the approach and are really wishing to live lives of greater virtue, greater compassion. So last night's class was really rich in, and in fact, I was just writing to this inmate that I write to about exactly the same thing. It was, the class focused on developing a mind that, instead of looking at the faults in each other, we identify the good qualities in others. Like, make a practice of identifying the good qualities in each other, but not just mentally going, oh yes, this person is really gifted in that way, or this person was really kind, I saw that, how nice. But then learn to appreciate each other verbally. Venerable Chodron, in the book, she cites this, and she used to do this at Dharma Friendship Foundation. I've been through a few things that she did with us, where she would give as homework, appreciate a person every single day, one person to their face, and one person behind their back. In other words, give the compliment or give the appreciation directly to someone, and then also speak of somebody else's good qualities to somebody else, which is shockingly difficult to do, I want to say. And I would actually invite anyone to try to do this practice. To take our minds off of, when you sit with somebody and start talking about somebody else, how often are we talking about their good qualities? Okay, sometimes. But really, if we weigh the amount of times that we speak of people who are not in the room, are we speaking of their good qualities, or are we speaking of something else? Honestly. So this counteracts that, we're creating terrible negative karma when we do that. So it counteracts that tendency we have to trash each other, to make ourselves feel better, right? It gives us a sense that maybe we're superior if we can speak of other people's bad qualities. But when we rejoice in their good qualities, how much better we feel and how much more merit we create, my goodness. You know, we create a lot of merit in rejoicing in the virtues of others. So there's an additional piece that we talked about last night that I think is very valuable when we talk about this practice, that comes from nonviolent communication. And it takes us out of the paradigm of reward and punishment when we give compliments, and actually means we speak in a meaningful way, that we really tell people what it is that they've done that we appreciate. So often you may get a compliment that says, oh, your talk was great, or you're so great, or, and you go, well, thanks. And I don't know about you, but who believes a word of that? It doesn't, it's nice. It's nice that they had that thought. I don't know what it means. It doesn't help my self-esteem, which of course I'm always looking for praise. I will do things to get that kind of comment. But as far as having some meaningful feedback, it doesn't really connect me with the person. So nonviolent communication lists 3 different types of appreciation that can really help us connect with the thing that we're trying to rejoice about in somebody else. So the first one is like an appreciation of action. So it's really specific. Here's the off the page example. Today, when you called on your way home and asked if there was anything you could pick up, I felt touched because my need for care and shared responsibility was really met. That is a lot more meaningful than, oh, hey, thanks for calling and picking up the milk. Oh, when you called, I felt really moved. That really supported me. It really inspired me because my need for support was met. So thanks. Something like that. The second way of doing it is naming a quality. So let's say you're having dinner with a difficult situation. Somebody talked about this last night. You're having a difficult kind of conversation at dinner, and the person you're with is really skillful in helping to facilitate that. You know, you could be in the car on the way home and go, you were great. That was really helpful. There was that. But you can also be a little bit more deliberate and explicit and say, wow, when you helped steer that conversation in a way that helped the person have some insight about what was going on for them, I felt really inspired and I felt really supported because I wasn't sure what to do. It's pretty simple when we give an example, but it's not really how we communicate with one another. But you can see how much more that appreciation would land. Venerable Chödrön gives a similar example in the book when she talks about when you say to a child, oh, you're such a good boy. Well, how many of us were raised with a good boy, good girl? Oh, you're a good girl. I don't know what I did, but I better do it again because I like that. They like me when they say I'm a good girl. But if you say to the kid, oh, I so appreciated that you picked up the toys. Now I'm not going to stumble when I walk through the room. Thank you. That really is considerate, shows consideration. Well, then the child knows exactly what they did that was beneficial. Oh, okay. So if I think about people, I try to keep my toys off the floor or my shoes out from front of the door, whatever, then that's not only a behavior that I want to repeat, but it's really, from my side, I can get in touch with how this actually helps me, how this benefits me, and so I can appreciate you in a heartfelt way. Then the third one is what they call identity appreciation. So it's similar to this quality, I think. It's a little bit of a fine line to me, but the example is, oh, I see that you're someone who's really dedicated to bringing compassion to your relationships. Thank you, that inspires me. The difference between that and saying, you are such a compassionate person, right? When someone says, this is my own reaction, when somebody says, you are good at what you do, you are compassionate, you are kind, my first thought, now I'm suspicious, but my first thought is like, how do you know? No. But if someone said, oh, when you stopped and talked to that person who was having difficulty, I could see there was kindness and I appreciate that. Then I can own, oh yeah, and it helps me. Oh yes, that was a kind moment that I didn't even really notice. Thank you, that is a good quality that I have, that I appreciate your appreciation. So we can reinforce each other if we identify what it is without labeling from the outside. The reason that bugs me so much, you are so astute. And I say it too, so everybody who's saying, well, she said that to me. Yes, I do it too. But as soon as I say you are, it's like I'm giving a pronouncement. It's like I'm the divine being saying this is your personality, which is not accurate and not very respectful. I often don't experience it as very respectful. But to say I recognize this, or this is a quality I admire in you, or this is something that I've seen or an action I've seen that I can appreciate in you, then I get how that relates to the other person. And then we've made a connection. So this thing about identifying the good qualities in others is a fantastic community practice. As I was writing this to the inmate today, I was describing this to him and realizing that I haven't done this in a while. But there was a period of time when every night before I went to bed, I would make a little note about an act of kindness or a quality of appreciation for someone in the community. And I tried to get everybody. As the community has grown, it got bigger. I mean, the list got too long to do every night. But to try to write down something to train my mind, my judgmental, critical, cranky mind, to start really seeing how much kindness I received throughout the day and what good qualities people have. It changed my relationship to the whole community. Completely. Really, it did. And how to live in community. So that we all have miles to go. I'm not saying that this is something I have that still comes automatically to my mind, but as a practice for how to be in relationship with other people, whether a community is your office or the community is your family or the community is a monastic community, training ourselves to see the good qualities in others, rejoicing in that virtue, makes our minds happier. It helps us overcome the kind of things I was talking about yesterday where we've made the person into a giant jerk. Oh, that person may be a giant jerk, but look how kind. They just spent a lot of time with somebody who came to visit that was suffering. Time I didn't bother to give. So I can appreciate the kindness of that person. That softens my heart, and it helps me rejoice in others. So, 3 types of appreciation from nonviolent communication. Rejoicing in the virtues of ourselves and all holy and ordinary beings, a practice from Buddhism. It does nothing but make our mind happier and richer and helps us see sentient beings as lovable. And on top of that, it generates a ton of merit. So maybe do so. Compliment one person every day to their face and behind their back for a week and see how that is.